Thanks for checking out the Ideal Impact Podcast, where we discuss 5 key skills and the impact they can have on your life, as well as some major issues in society. You ready to get after it? Hey everybody, so before we get into the show, I have a question for you. I want to know who out there wants to unlock their true potential and transform their life on an extraordinary level. So there's no secret formula out there. Results come from long-term consistency, which is built through discipline. So do me a favor and take a moment to imagine what you could accomplish simply by taking consistent action towards your goals. For you, maybe that's crushing 3 workouts week in and week out, or maybe it's increasing your income by making 100 sales calls every week, no matter what. Or maybe it's simply sticking to a consistent schedule with your spouse to improve your marriage. So imagine what life could look like by building that relentless consistency. So here's the exciting news. Achieving this feat is 100% within your grasp, and we know this because we have done it. And we're here to empower you with the tools and guidance you need to cultivate relentless consistency and success in every aspect of your life. No longer will you face this journey alone, because we are in your corner, ready to support you every step of the way with 3 phenomenal options to kickstart your transformation. Option number 1, our monthly Ideal Connect calls. So these calls are extremely affordable, and they help inspire and equip you with the practical strategies that you need. As a bonus, all attendees receive Ideal merch that changes each month. So check out our YouTube channel to witness the transformative power of these calls for yourself. Option number 2, the Ideal Light Package. Perfect for those who already have a clear vision of the actions that they need to take, but maybe just require some external accountability to build that unwavering consistency. This option will help you stay on track and conquer your goals. Option number 3, this is the full-on Ideal Impact Coaching Package. Our comprehensive coaching is tailor-made for individuals seeking to discover their purpose, define their own success, and take on challenges to embark on a profound journey of personal growth and fulfillment. So if this got you fired up, go ahead and head over to idealimpactpodcast.com. Again, that's idealimpactpodcast.com and sign up for a free coaching consult to learn more about the transformative possibilities that await you. All right, that's enough for me. It's time to dive into the show and immerse yourself in the incredible insights and experiences of our host and guest. Let's get after it, everybody. All right. And we're glad to have you back, Randy.
Heyo.
Yeah, welcome back, buddy. We missed you.
Thank you.
Not really, but
yeah. I was gonna say, Brian, I thought we did pretty good without him.
Yeah, we did, but it's the tripod.
This is officially Randy's last show, because without him, I didn't have to do any editing. I just want to point that out.
Yeah, you should have, because I heard the beginning of it. You screwed up about 20 words in the first 3 minutes.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. I probably should have edited that part out. But hey,
he was a little flustered.
I heard.
That's who I am.
Yeah.
I messed up words.
But
words are hard.
Whoa. Should we get into our wins for the week, fellas?
I think we should.
Well, then who wants to go first? Randy, your softball, that sounded like you had a good time all weekend.
Ugh. I mean,
Yeah.
I got to spend some quality time with my kids and my wife, so I guess that's a win, but this actual softball itself was not a win. But
well, the quality time with the family is always a win, like you said.
That's a win. Yeah, I mean, I'll go first. Biggest win, school is out for summer.
Woo!
So
Freedom.
That is a huge win. Already took advantage of that I woke up this morning and I read 15 pages of a book I'm reading. I went out and did 8 quarter-mile runs with a 2-minute little active rest in between. So my morning got to start the way I wanted it to, and I didn't have anywhere to go. So that was awesome.
All right. So what was more exciting, summer as a student or summer as a teacher?
Summer as a teacher.
For different reasons now, though.
Right.
Before it was like, we get to sleep in. Now it's like, we don't have to deal with kids.
There was
still got kids to deal with, just not somebody else's kids.
Right.
Yeah.
There was kids crying on the last day of school. They were sad that they were not going to be in school. I was like, I don't remember ever doing that. Ever.
No, never
That's a
once.
good thing, though.
I'm glad. I mean, it's a good thing they like school, but man, Friday I might have had tears of joy because it was over. So that
I
was a
wonder-
big win.
And the
It makes
other
you
thing
think,
now
though.
is you can actually discipline kids and not have to worry about somebody getting mad.
That's true.
Probably
Other
a
than
pretty big stress reliever.
my own kids getting mad.
And Holly, yeah.
Yeah. But other than that,
You got to wonder, though, when the kids are that upset about the school year ending, like, what does home life look like? Because
yeah, that's the part that sucks. Cause like I know there's quite a few that probably are going to be home alone by themselves for the majority of the summer with not a whole lot to do. So
that's rough.
that is rough.
But hey, sounds like
Way
a
to
whole
put
lot not your
way to
problem,
put a
Randy.
damper on my win, Kyle.
You're celebrating this poor kid's gonna be home alone,
right?
all summer. Way to go. Anyway, Brian, what do you got?
I'm gonna piggyback off of Randy. I got to spend some really good time with my boys this weekend. Both my sons are into the off-road or power sports world. They're into the dirt biking and four-wheeling, but we actually went out and spent some time at the local racetrack. And my oldest son has decided that he wants to get into drag racing now.
Nice.
So
I'm
we went
glad
out.
to see they have very inexpensive hobbies.
Yes, I mean it's like, come on, man, can't we do like pickleball or something?
Ooh, pickleball's a blast, man.
It's a blast. It's not nearly as expensive as something like this. So we went out and we looked at a half-scale car, which is a junior dragster for a child, and he was very excited about it. So after we went and looked at that, we went to the racetrack and saw some actual kids racing, and it pumped him up, man. And that gave me just the best feeling. Like, if I can give my son the opportunity to have that experience, yes, it's going to cost some money, but I'd rather give him. Unfortunately, you can't have experiences sometimes unless you spend some money. So my youngest son is just as excited. So that was a really good win. And then, we got to spend a whole week together. We've transitioned into this new shared parenting thing, which is, it's gonna be difficult for me. I have to go 7 days without seeing the kids, but we're gonna continue trying to communicate the best possible, and make sure that even while they're gone, they have access to both mom and dad. And it's a win to know that things are moving along, and we're gonna start giving some real stability and structure to their schedules. So that was a good thing.
Definitely. That's awesome. Yeah. And I mean, again, it comes back to mindset, right? You can look at that as 7 days off and that's a loss, or you can look at it, hey, I'm going to be super intentional with the 7 days on and be there when needed on those 7 days when they're with their mom too. So I like the mindset there, brother.
Yeah. So their mom and I talked, and, it is an option that if we want to, midway through that week, we can, take the opportunity to go and see them. So I'm not going to go 7 days without seeing my boys. I'm going to go down on Wednesday evening, try and spend at least a couple hours with them. And, despite the drive and the time that it would take, it's totally worth it. So that's what we're going to do.
Absolutely. Good deal. So I will wrap up the wins for the week, and then we'll jump into our topic for today, which is one of our favorites, and a lot going on with that topic specifically. So my win for the week. So I'll start with it's not even the win for the week yet, but I'm coming home on Monday. So a week from today, and I'm super stoked about it. I haven't been home. That'll be about 3 months since we left for Texas. So really, really excited to see everybody and thankful for the opportunity to get home and spend 2 weeks home. Originally, I was coming home to look at houses, but we already have something under contract. So that's a huge stress off our shoulders, and should be closing middle of July and then coming home for the next 8 months, at least at the end of July. So that's exciting. That's a win. And then we also signed our first ideal coaching client that we didn't have a previous relationship with. So Lewis, shout out to Lewis. He had the courage to reach out on Instagram, connect. We had a great call on Saturday, and we're getting started this week. So I already talked to him this morning. He had an awesome book recommendation, Principles by Ray Dalio. So as soon as he recommended that, I ordered it. I also got a copy from a good friend, Carrie Keeler, of Discipline Equals Destiny. I don't have it right in front of me, but it's by Ryan Holiday. Discipline is Destiny. I can't remember the title, but it's fantastic. I'm 20 pages in, and I will actually start off, because the topic that we're going into today is discipline. I'm going to start off with a quote from the book that really resonated with me. So, freedom requires discipline. Discipline gives us freedom and greatness. Your destiny is there. Will you grab the reins? And I thought that was a perfect way to jump into our topic today of discipline, because at its foundation, when you break everything down, when you break success, when you break down being a good parent, a good spouse, a good leader, a good business person, it all comes down to discipline, because with discipline, you can build unwavering consistency in your personal development. And that's really what it all boils down to. So, gentlemen, let's jump into the discipline topic of the day.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
So the define discipline and what it means to you, Randy.
Well, I'm going to give the Randy definition here. And discipline is, to me, is doing shit that you don't want to do, which is like getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning on my first day of summer break so that I can get a workout in and do some reading. So like a lot of people rely on motivation, and I think motivation is BS because it's not always there. You have, what are you going to fall back on when there's no motivation? Are you just going to skip out and not do it? No, you have to rely on discipline. And discipline, to me, like I said, is doing that shit that you don't want to do. Get it done.
Well, I have another quote for you here, Randy, based on what you just said there. A lazy man gives up in a day. A motivated man gives up in a week. A disciplined man can achieve anything. And that's what it comes down to, right? That's what you're saying is motivation is temporary. It might get you started. It might get you up off the couch when you're all fired up and motivated. But then when shit gets hard after a week or after a month or however long it is, day in and day out grinding, then the motivation is not going to get you through. It's not going to see you through the finish line. It's not going to make you successful. That's where discipline comes in.
So I'm going to ask you something, Kyle, after that quote. Do you remember being the lazy guy that gave up in a day or the motivated guy that gave up in a week? Do you remember being any of those throughout life?
Yeah, absolutely. And there are still days where I battle it. And now what I've learned is that it's important to be disciplined on the things that move the needle. And I'm kind of borrowing that from Ed Milet and the episode that he recently did on discipline. But for me, I use this. I'm not very disciplined when it comes to putting my clothes away. I will get a huge load of laundry and it'll sit there for like a week, because to me, that's not a needle moving activity. Whether I grab my clothes out of my clean clothes out of the laundry basket, or I grab them out of my drawer or my closet, it really doesn't make a huge difference to me. But what it is a needle moving activity is, like Randy said, like getting up early. To me, that's a life hack. It takes discipline to wake up. My alarm goes off at 4:30 every morning, and to get out of bed, 4:30 6 days a week. I don't wake up that early on Sundays, but to get out of bed, I don't always want to do that. My bed's warm. My wife's next to me. Sophie, my dog's curled up next to me. I do not want to get out of bed, but I know by getting up early, by getting my reading done, by getting my meditation done, my daily gratitude, whatever it is that I set out to do that morning, it's done and over with before my day even really starts. And then I have no excuse not to get those things done. So to me, discipline is a life hack, because no matter what happens in that day, I've done a bunch of stuff by 8 a.m. to make my life better, to make myself better personally, to read my affirmations, to take 5 minutes and to be grateful for all of the amazing things in my life. Those are all ways to continue to get better and to correct your mindset and take it from a negative to a positive. Now, there was plenty of time on the needle moving activities that I was also undisciplined as well. But it continued. The way that I became disciplined was just to continue to do it and to start small. Like, I didn't become super disciplined overnight with reading. Great example. I started sporadically. I would read a couple pages here, read a couple pages there. And then I said, no, like successful people, they read daily. So I started making that a habit, and it started with 5 pages and then 10 pages and then 15 and now 20 and 30 and 40 and some days 50. And now I enjoy it. That's the key, is to just keep going.
Yeah. I have a question for either one of you can answer this. Like, so I've heard from a lot of people that they cannot get up in the morning. Like I can't get out of bed in the morning. So how do you do it?
Brian, you want to take this one?
I don't, I mean, I understand that there are people that don't want to get out of bed to do something extra. There are plenty of people that get out of bed to get up and go to their 9 to 5 job, or to take their kids to school, or to do whatever. I think it comes down to, you really have to ask yourself, okay, I know I have to get out of bed to go to work. That's a given. You got to make money. You go to work to make money to supply things for your family, necessities, material things. I've said it in the past that we are products that we need to invest in ourselves. You need to determine whether getting out of bed to go do that workout, or getting out of bed to go do your reading or your affirmations, or whatever the case may be, is a necessity. Is it worth it? Some people say, no, I'd rather enjoy my sleep. Well, there's that old saying, you can sleep when you're dead. You're not getting anything accomplished when you're sleeping. Therefore, you're not improving anything about yourself or your family or your family situation. So it comes down to discipline. You really need to get out of bed because the disciplined person says, you know what, I don't really want to do this, but I need to. It is for my best interest, and it's an investment I'm making for myself. And until you can have that mindset, you probably won't get out of bed.
So if I came to you and I was like, all right, I hit the snooze like 5 times every morning and I just can't get out of bed, what recommendation would you give me to help me light a fire under my ass?
I would probably say, well, let's give you some type of a challenge. For every time that you hit your alarm clock, your snooze button, I want you to read 2 additional pages to your book. I want you to spend an extra 5 minutes on your affirmations. And during that time, I want you to take some reflection and think about, if I'd have just gotten out of bed 10 minutes sooner, 15 minutes sooner, and I would have done these 3 activities, what could I be on to now? What else could I be accomplishing that I didn't get the opportunity to because I was lazy? And really challenge yourself to accept the term lazy. You're not doing it because you're being lazy. There's no other answer to it, in my opinion.
So you're making me hold myself accountable? What the hell?
I would essentially be making you hold yourself accountable.
Yeah. Another thing that I've learned too, because the farther I go with this 4:30 wake up, the easier it becomes. And I used to wake up at 3:30, but again, Brian, to your point, that was more out of the fact that I had to. I had no other time in my day to work out. I had to be at the office at a certain point, so at 8 o'clock in the morning. So in order for me to wake up, drink my coffee, go to the gym, get home, shower, and hit the road, I had to get up that early. I didn't really have that much of a choice. Well, now I work for myself. I work from home. I can take my time, but I get up at 4:30 regardless because I give myself a reason to. I look forward to my reading. I look forward to my glass of water in the morning. I look forward to my daily gratitude and my daily affirmations and all that. So by building that routine in the morning, it really gives you a reason to get out of bed. I actually thoroughly enjoy it. And I think, so the Miracle Morning, a lot of that, what I do is from the book, The Miracle Morning. By reading The Miracle Morning, you see all of these stories where people say, I'm not a morning person. Well, I'm not a morning person either. When I was in high school and college, I slept until 10 o'clock or 12 o'clock some days. But by doing it and just repeating it over and over again, you become a morning person. I'm not a reader. I have become a reader. I wasn't an entrepreneur. Well, guess what? I've become an entrepreneur by just consistently taking the actions required in order to do it. And to your point, I do agree with you. I think some people just need to accept the term lazy. Like you're being lazy, and there is something wrong with that, but it's not anything that you can't change. Like anyone can achieve the big results in their life, but it might take 10 years. It might come through and it will come through consistent action. And consistent review of the actions and consistent course corrections. Like anybody can do this. Anybody can achieve this level of success in their life if they just put their mind to it.
And I will piggyback off of that. And you made the reference if you don't like putting laundry away. I will say that I was a very lazy spouse when it came to laundry and things in the past, or making my bed. She would do the laundry. She would fold it and ask me to carry it up. I'd carry it up and I'd set it on the dresser and it would sit there. And it would sit there for day after day. And I understand her frustrations now because she had done all the work leading up to it. I was willing to do one small portion and I wouldn't. was too lazy to take 5 minutes to take and put the socks in the sock drawer and the t-shirts in the t-shirt drawer. After the separation and all this stuff, it started giving me anxiety because I was doing all the work to get the laundry done, get it folded, take it upstairs, and it would still sit there. Now I'm like, okay, lazy ass, put the stuff away, have a very nice, neat and tidy looking room. It's going to give you a feeling of accomplishment. And then that led to, the book of Make Your Bed. Making your bed or putting the laundry away, maybe to you, Kyle, it doesn't do anything for you, it doesn't move the needle, but for somebody like me, it really does. It's that very, very first small accomplishment that starts a day that is followed up by more and more and more accomplishment, because eventually you build to the point where you're like, okay, I did all the normal stuff. I want to see what else I can do now. I want to get something more accomplished. And to your point, just keeps going and creates better habit. And it's, I don't know. I got off on a little tangent there, but for me, I enjoy kind of putting the laundry away now. It's a very small win, but it's a very beneficial piece for me. And I'm sure there's plenty of other people out there that would feel the same way.
Yeah, absolutely. And what you just said there is the same thing that I was talking about. By doing it consistently, it doesn't feel so daunting, and eventually you actually kind of enjoy it. And that is what consistency builds in your life. It builds that it's an acquired taste. It's just, I think about it like bourbon. The first couple of times I didn't like bourbon, or I drank bourbon, I'm like, this is kind of gross. And the more that I drink it, I grew an appreciation for the time that went into it and the oak and like basically the art behind what I was. So but I wouldn't have done that if I gave up after the first 2 times. And maybe that's not the best example because that's alcohol, but but apply that to things that are good for you. Running. I think for me, running is an acquired taste. I hated running for the longest time, but now I actually thoroughly enjoy it and look forward to it, because the other thing with running is there's so many just good analogies for life built within running. You look at the goal and you see this, you look down, if I'm running a huge long straightaway, let's say, and I look at the goal and I'm running 3 miles and I look and that's 3 miles, that looks really far ahead of me, but that's the goal. Well, it's not so far if I just focus on one foot in front of the other. Then that is what gets me to the goal. That is what consistency gets you. By taking one step and then another step and another step and never quitting, you will eventually get there. Maybe I have to fucking walk part of the time. Maybe I have to crawl, but by putting one foot in front of the other, I will eventually make it to that goal. Maybe I have to take breaks too. Taking breaks, there's nothing wrong with that, as long as you keep going and get right back on the wagon and keep going. And that's what we try to do through our coaching program as well, is help you build this foundation of discipline with consistency in order to achieve huge results in your life.
Mm-hmm. But you made a point that you start to like these things. So you're not going to like it every day. Like that's where the discipline comes in. Like I enjoy working out. It's good for me. I enjoy it. It helps release a lot of aggression and stress, but there's times where I don't want to do it. But if I skip that workout, I feel even worse. So that's where the discipline comes in, that consistency. It holds you accountable, because then when you don't do it, then you feel like crap for not doing it.
And in that moment, you have to be thinking about, how is my future self going to feel? How is my future self going to feel if I do it or if I don't do it? Like you just said, well, I know if I don't do this workout, I'm going to regret it. If I do it, I've never once done a workout and regretted it and be like, I shouldn't have done that. Never. I cannot think of a single time in my life. Every workout that I've ever missed, which now is basically never, I always had that deep sense of, man, I just should have done it. Now think about applying that to your financial future. Yeah, the decision to not go out and buy $100 pair of pants in that moment, that might be hard, but maybe that's $100 that you can now invest with, or you can put towards your future business or something along those lines. Yes, in that moment, it may cause temporary discomfort. Same thing with the workout. It's going to be uncomfortable. You're going to push yourself super hard. But in the future, in 6 months, you're going to thank yourself for continuing to take those actions on a consistent basis in order to see the results that you want.
Agreed.
I look at it like that chosen suffering that we talked about a couple episodes ago. Do I want my suffering to be the workout that I'm going to put myself through, or do I want it to be me beating myself up all night long for skipping that workout? It's my choice.
But think about it even further down the road. Do you want it to be uncomfortable? So for a half an hour, think about it. If you're just trying to be healthy, so let's say you're not trying to go balls to the wall when it comes to fitness, you're just trying to live a healthy lifestyle. And in order to do that, 30 minutes of decent exercise 3 times a week, plus
Vigorous, I believe, is the word.
Yeah, vigorous. 30 minutes of vigorous. So an hour and a half a week. So break that down times a whole year. That's really not that much time. But
what would that be, Kyle?
Well, there's 52 weeks, so that's 52 hours divided by
52. You got to figure out the half an hour. You got to figure, so 80 something hours. Let's say 100 to make it easy. But 100 hours out of a whole year is not that much time whatsoever.
No, it's not.
Now, but what will suck? So 100 hours of discomfort to prevent yourself from being obese, from chronic illness, from potential heart issues, from blood pressure, all of that stuff that comes along with just being lazy, that is way more uncomfortable than an hour of physical activity per year. I can guarantee that. Talk to people who have lived that life. They will tell you.
I mean, and then it just it translates to everything else that you have going on in life. Once you start that fitness routine with the discipline and consistency, then it's going to carry on over to hopefully your diet. So now you're looking at what you're putting into your body more. And yes, is that going to be hard? Yeah, it's a hell of a lot easier to go buy fast food or buy the crap at the store that's cheaper.
I live that firsthand. My old career, it was easier for me, instead of packing a lunch, to just go through the drive-through. And that became habit. It's the same thing as working towards something positive. I got in the habit of taking the easy way out and eating the fast food and stuff like that, and put on a bunch of weight because of it.
I lived that too. In college, I weighed 255 pounds. I was drinking, eating entire boxes of Swiss cake rolls. And part of that was not only a lack of discipline, but a lack of education on nutrition and understanding. I was told to put on weight. So I'm like, okay, I'll put on weight, like no problem. Well, here's a box of Ho-Hos, and here's 6 honey buns, and here's a double wrapped Chipotle burrito before and after practice. So that was the easy way to put on weight. The right way to put on weight would have been to increase my caloric intake through whole foods, chicken, rice, beef, all of that stuff. But I didn't know any better. And even if I would have known any better, well, when I go to I was about to say chow hall, but I was in college. So the cafeteria, I guess.
The defect?
The defect, yeah. The dining facility, for anybody who doesn't know what defect is. But I would just load my plate up with whatever. I wasn't thinking about any of that stuff. I lacked intentionality. I was eating because I had to. I had no emotional intelligence. I wasn't holding myself accountable. I wasn't being loyal to my future self in that moment, because that killed. So by putting on all that unhealthy weight, my knees got bad. I had stress fractures in my shins because my frame wasn't built to be that heavy and go out and run on basically concrete, which is what our practice field in college was. But what Randy said before too, it's a mindset. Discipline is a mindset. And when you achieve it, I like to practice discipline through physical activity. And again, because it is a metaphor for life. There are so many things that you can take from running or lifting or HIIT workouts or whatever it may be that you can apply to every aspect of life. If I can go out there and I can run up hills constantly and push my mind to be able to do that, because that's really what it comes down to. I know I can go out and run this hill 12, 15 times, but my mind is going to tell me that I can't. So I need to keep pushing forward. Well, my mind is going to tell me, I don't want to get on this call later today with the business attorney. I don't want to go on and call the virtual mailbox and all this stuff, but it doesn't matter. I have to get that done. And if I don't do that when I need to get it done, it's just going to pile up on me. It's going to become overwhelming. And eventually maybe that causes me to just say, screw this. I don't want to do this anymore because it's just too hard, because I was undisciplined in the beginning. You have to do that. and just keep going. Build that unwavering consistency through discipline, because once you become consistent, you're just going to create a habit, and then it doesn't feel so hard. Once things become habit, pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, doing the hard thing, it becomes habit, and it doesn't seem so overwhelming and challenging in your life. Living with the Seal, another great book, Jesse Itzler, he had David Goggins live with him for 31 days, and it completely changed his life by building that relentless consistency and that unwavering discipline in his life.
That would be a rough 31 days.
It was insane. It was crazy. I'm reading this. They did the one day they did 1,000 push-ups in a day. And he was 42 years old. Jesse was 42 years old when he did this, and he ran marathons and stuff. So he was in shape and physically fit to begin with, but not like that. Like he was like, I would never have thought this. And the book was hilarious, first of all. So it was, and he never said in the book that it was David Goggins, because David Goggins didn't want to be mentioned. This was in 2010, so before he was like a big name. But then now it's been republished and he tells you who it is. But if you know Goggins and you're reading this book, you know it's him. You don't have to, you know exactly who it is.
Can you imagine that
he's using real dialogue?
4:30
using like real dialogue.
Yeah. Wake up, motherfucker.
Who's gonna carry them boats?
Yeah, it's nuts. The stuff that they were doing. It was like 15 degrees outside in New York City, and Goggins is just in a t-shirt and shorts. Like, he's like, hey man, I might need to borrow a pair of gloves. He's like, oh, you might need to borrow gloves. it's 15 degrees outside. You should be borrowing more than that. But again, that mindset, it just applies to everything. Applies to your business, your relationship. There are so many times. Think about being married, and there are so many times where it's so tempting and so easy to choose the easy way out. Hey, you got to have this really difficult conversation. I don't feel like doing that right now. Well, guess what? It's going to be better to just get it done and over with, even if the timing is not perfect, than to just hold off and continue to wait and everything like that. There are so many times. That's why it's also important to be intentional, because maybe you are in the middle of something, you can't get to that conversation. I have intentional time. I have a reminder set for myself every single Monday to have a deep conversation with Callie. That way I have that time set aside and we get it done no matter what. Maybe it's not Monday, maybe it doesn't happen Monday night, but at least once a week we sit down and we have really deep conversations, and that's how you keep relationships alive. I might not want to do it in the moment. I might rather watch Stranger Things or read or go sit outside, whatever it may be. But I need to make sure that I'm getting that done, because I need to be disciplined in my relationship to have success for a long time.
Yeah. There is a question here, and we've kind of touched on it already, but I don't know if we've really heard from Randy. I talked about, my dislike for the laundry. Kyle, you talked about your eating habits back in college. Randy, was there a time that you weren't disciplined? And if so, what did it do to your life? How did it?
I mean, wrestling taught me like discipline at a very young age. So I feel like I've always had like an aspect of discipline, but I didn't really have a whole lot of intentionality behind it. I just thought like, oh, if I go out there and just try to kill myself through this hard workout, that's being disciplined. And like, you both know, we've both done workouts together. Like there was some crazy workouts where we were just doing like over like 60 sets of just legs, and my legs would be shaking when we leave there. I'm like, yeah, that's being disciplined right there. Well, no, that's overtraining, and that's not good for your body. So I definitely lacked a lot of intentionality behind my discipline. I just thought discipline was being hardcore. And to answer your question, there was probably like a 3-year period where I just kind of got stuck in this rut where I didn't really lead a very disciplined life. And that carried over to almost every aspect of my life. And that was probably when I was at my lowest. And then discipline helped me get back on track. But like we've talked before, there's a dichotomy. You can overdo this stuff. You can be too disciplined. So you have to keep it in check. If it's starting to ruin your relationships, like if your wife's like, hey, I'd like to go out to dinner tonight, and you're like, oh, I got to do this, and this. I mean, that's a problem.
Yeah. And you look at guys that we aspire to be more like in certain ways. But like Cameron Haynes, I think, is a great example of that. In his book, Endure, he talks about, he's like, I wasn't the greatest dad or the greatest spouse because I was so obsessed and so disciplined when it came to bow hunting and running to be a better bow hunter. He's like, I wasn't a great dad. I wasn't a great spouse with those things. So like you said, you have to have balance to it and you have to apply it across your whole life. Tiger Woods, one of the most disciplined athletes to ever exist, lacked a shit ton of discipline when it came to his personal life. And there are plenty of examples of that. And we've all been there. I've been there personally. I've been super disciplined with my workouts for a very long time, but I was a shitty spouse. I was a shitty boyfriend before that because I wasn't intentional. I wasn't applying this mindset to my entire life. I was only applying it to certain things, and that's not where success comes from. I was listening to somebody the other day when they were talking about the military and how certain people are just super disciplined soldiers. They're great, but at home, they're a shitty husband or they drink too much or something along those lines. Like, that's not okay. How are you supposed to be the best leader possible and preach discipline when you go home and you're a shitbag on the side? You have to be able to apply this across the board. And another super important thing, notice we've said discipline through, or consistency through discipline. We've never said perfection through discipline, because there are going to be days where it doesn't happen. It's important though, through discipline, the disciplined person gets right back at it the next day. If they take a break, they get right back at it the next day. And that shouldn't be the goal. The goal shouldn't be, well, I'm going to do this 90% of the time. But in reality, 90% of the time is freaking epic. That is tremendously better than a majority of our population right now, because discipline is something that is vastly lacking in our society across in so many freaking areas. And it bothers me. I go out sometimes and I look at society, and I'm not judging that individual person. I am sad for where we are at as a country, that it is completely acceptable to be so lazy. That's what bothers me.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think based like the consistency aspect of it, like you're gonna slip up. Like you're not going to be perfect with this, with whatever you're trying to achieve. But that doesn't mean that you should just fall off the deep end. Like if I'm trying to eat a healthier diet and I slip up, does that mean I should just say screw it for the rest of the day and continue to eat like crap? And then I'm going down a rabbit hole there. So you're going to slip up. It's about the process. It's not about it is about the outcome, obviously. Like you want to achieve what you're shooting for, but it's the process. It's the journey. That's the part where you grow. And yes, there's going to be hiccups along the way, but you can't beat yourself up over those things. And that's what I used to do. If like I had a goal in mind, I only focused on the outcome. And if I messed up along the way, like I beat myself up over that. And that just made my life not very fun.
So do either of you, so we talk about this discipline, and to some people, I think some people think, they look at a guy like David Goggins, and this man is just incredibly disciplined, but not all of us can take it. I don't expect the entire world or any of us to be that level. That man is one in a billion. Okay. What are some things that help you in order to maintain consistency in your life? Do you intentionally build in breaks or days off, or do you have any tricks that you use, like from a mindset perspective? So tell me what you guys do.
So like for a long time, I thought discipline means like you're hard. Like with Goggins, like when you think of Goggins, like he's a hard dude. Like he's doing extreme things. And that's what I took discipline as. I was like, oh, if you want to be disciplined, you got to be hard. You got to be this person that's so intense, that goes out and does all these crazy things. And now that we're on this journey, I realize that's not what discipline is. It's having balance. It's, can I achieve multiple things at once? Like I want to be able to spend time with my kids. I want to spend time with my wife. I have fitness goals. We have this business that we're trying to help be successful. So I use habit share a lot. Like that holds me accountable, and I share it with with Kyle. And so if I slip up, he can call me out on it, which is a nice thing to have. My workouts, like, I'm not so set in stone anymore. I'm like, okay, I wrote this workout. This is the workout that I have to do. Maybe my workout for like a Monday now becomes me and the girls going out and doing some type of exercise together. So I think I've become a little less like so strict to this is what it has to be, and I have to follow this routine, where I'm a little more lenient on myself. I'm not so hard on myself anymore when it comes to the discipline. I still get the stuff done that I need to get done, but I will allow it to change and adapt to what I have going on in my life.
Okay. I mean, I would say that I would agree that I've done a bit of the same. You know, my life and the boys' lives have changed intensely over the last year. And so through that, you know, I like I said, I use my parents a bit, but I will take that opportunity to do the same. You know, if I get out of work and I didn't get an opportunity to get up before the boys got up to get a workout in, when we get home, we're out doing something. If they're on their ATVs, I'm chasing them around on foot instead of riding the ATVs next to them. Like, well, I'll still get my workout in. It's not a traditional workout, but I don't really have a choice. So this is how I'll do it.
Hey, everybody. All right. So Brian had something come up, so he had to step away. So we're going to get back into it right now with just Randy and I. And we were talking about basically some tools that we use to help us stay on track with discipline, and also that balance that goes into discipline. Because one thing that I find with myself when I'm getting into this disciplined mindset and this mode, sometimes it's hard to turn it off. And you have, like Randy said, you have to have that balance. Yesterday was a good example. I take Wednesdays. I take Sundays off, but I was like, my body's feeling pretty good. Let's go out and get after it. So I went out and ran a half a mile. I would run a half a mile, walk a quarter mile, run a half mile, walk a quarter mile. I ended up doing like 3.5 miles or something along those lines. And I'm going, my quad starts hurting and everything. And I'm like, all right, did I push it too far? Well, today I feel great, so maybe not. But one of the things that I do is I build in that day off every week. So on Sundays, I don't have everything on my habit share tracker that Randy mentioned. I don't have stretching. I don't have an hour of intentional movement. I usually build in that flexibility on Sundays, so I can have that break. But what I find is typically I don't necessarily need that break, but by allowing myself the flexibility to have it, it's there if I need it. So that's one thing that I do, is I build in that, quote unquote cheat day to give myself the flexibility to take days off. The other thing that I do, that this is more of like a real time thing, is when I'm facing something and I'm not feeling it, or something's becoming hard, when I'm out on a run, or I'm walking down the street and I see garbage on the side of the road, or I'm looking at my desk and it's a mess, I think to myself, what would a disciplined person do? Or what would the most disciplined version of myself do in this situation? I think about what that would do, or what that action would be, and I just take it. And you can apply that to anything. I don't want to write this paper. I don't want to read this book. I don't want to read this report for my business or get on these business metrics. Well, what would a disciplined person do? They're just going to get it done. And then you've allowed yourself to not have to worry about that for the rest of the day or the rest of the week or whatever it is. So those are some little tricks that we've built in to allow yourself in that balance, and then adopt that mindset even when you're not feeling like it.
I think another thing I would add to it is, like, I give myself grace, which I used to not do. So
that's a big one.
Like, I feel like when you get to the point where we are, like, you can be really hard on yourself. Like, when I was out running the marathon, I was like, if I stop and walk, I am such a wuss. Like, I'm a loser. I'm a loser if I walk during this 26.2 miles. And then the other voice comes in and they're like, well, how many people are out here actually doing this? The whole point is to push yourself. So I gave myself a little bit of grace, whereas before I probably would have beat myself up over stopping and walking and not giving what I would think of to be like 110% always.
Yeah. Here's how I look at that. I used to have that same mindset, but the way that I look at it now is losers quit, winners keep going no matter what. Even if maybe you don't finish in the time that you want. Maybe you, like you said, you don't run the entire thing, but you fucking did it. And most people, the average or the mediocre, they will quit. They will not cross that finish line. They allow that weakness to creep into their mindset. And that's where, like, think about your greatest of all time. So I put this out on Facebook the other day, just asking people, like, who are your goats, whether it's business, running, sports, whatever. Who are the people that you think are the greatest of all time at what they do? The greats, they don't coast. They reach success and they keep going. So they achieve that high level and then they just keep getting after it, where a lot of people will reach whatever market is they set for themselves. Like, let's say you have a goal to make $100,000 a year. Well, that's a great goal. Well, if you get there and you just coast, that's still average. That's still mediocre, because there's another level and there's another level after that. And it all depends on what you want. Now, if that is greatness for you, that's awesome. But what is the point if you're not focused on the journey and the desire to just keep getting after it and keep getting better? Then that result isn't going to be all that great. You're going to reach it and it's going to be like, okay, this is cool. What's next? Like Tom Brady, oh, I won one Super Bowl. What's next? I've won one MVP. What's next? Let's keep going. Let's keep getting better. Let's keep getting after it. Let's keep unlocking that new level and that new 100%, and just testing it out and seeing what's out there. And you look at that sports, Tom Brady, Tiger Woods, again, when it comes to just the sports, you have musicians that are the same type. The Rock, I think The Rock is a huge example of that for so many things across entertainment, fitness, everything that he does in life. He seems to just continue to unlock a new level and a new 100%.
Yeah, I look at like there's a lot of guys like that, and women.
Yeah.
Like Mark Wahlberg. Like, all right, he made it. What, Marky Mark, man? He's out there
Marky
singing,
Mark and the Funky Bunch,
entertaining, and then all right, we're gonna do movies. We're gonna do movies now. All right, well, we got the movie thing down. What are we gonna do next? Let's do a clothing line. He's got that municipal clothing line, and then he's got the gym that they started. Then he's got the Wahlburgers that he's got going on. So like, there's all these different. Like, he doesn't just stop and be like, "Oh, I made it. I'm done."
Yeah, there's car dealerships. They own car dealerships too, and I think that's him and his brothers with the Wahlburgers and the car dealerships. And then, look at The Rock. He was freaking broke. I think at one point he had like $5 or $15 in his bank account when he was younger, and then he became this huge name in professional wrestling, and then acting, and then business, and now this tequila business that he has. They're expanding. They have this massive facility that they're building and everything. And that's what happens when you don't let your foot off the gas, when you don't reach a level and then just coast. You're going to keep going and keep grinding. There's always more to accomplish there. And that doesn't mean don't be satisfied with where you are. You should be satisfied and happy in the moment and celebrate where you
wins,
currently are. Yeah. And this is something that I battle all the time. It's hard. This shit is not, again, it's not easy. It's easier said than done, but that's why practicing it and being so consistent with it is so important, because then you can get yourself out of negative mindsets and into positive mindsets through discipline. If it wasn't for discipline, I definitely wouldn't be here right now. Like you said earlier, Randy, I was at some really low points in my life where I literally felt like just giving up on life. But I knew that I would just get up the next day, and maybe it was just going through the motions, because that takes discipline too. On the days where you don't feel like it, going through the motions is tremendously better than doing nothing. Like, a bad workout is better than no workout. So just go out and get after it. You're not always going to feel like doing it. And your 100% today might only be your 80% tomorrow, or 100% today might be 110% tomorrow. It's all different. The most important thing is just applying that 100% in that moment, 100% of what you're capable of in that moment. And that's what we talk about in our coaching program too. So let's talk about that a little bit. So we've recently kind of changed or narrowed our focus when it comes to coaching. So again, ideal, intentionality, discipline, emotional intelligence, accountability, and loyalty. But at the foundation, it all comes down to discipline. If you want to be more intentional, you want to be more emotionally intelligent, you want to take ownership of your life, you want to improve your level of loyalty and build deeper connections, that all comes down to discipline, because you are not going to want to do any of those things all the time. There are times where, yes, you know what, in my head, I'm like, it would feel, I'm pissed off. And I'm like, it would be so satisfying to just fly off the handle right now and break something. But they would feel good in that moment. I know that's not the right thing, and it requires discipline for me to manage that emotion, process it, and handle it like an adult. So that's where we've changed the focus here. So we offer the first thing that we offer is our connect calls. So do you kind of want to tell everybody a little bit about our connect calls, and then we'll go into the more one-on-one coaching after that?
Yeah, so our connect calls are I would classify it as like a group coaching. We offer up to 10 spots, and you have like-minded people coming together, and we're talking about these topics that we're talking about on the podcast. We're talking about and being intentional. We're talking about discipline. We're talking about emotional intelligence, accountability, loyalty. And then people are sharing where they're struggling in their life and areas where they're winning. And then you're able to bounce ideas off other people who are in that group. So it's a nice little environment that we're doing once a month.
Yeah. And for me, the best part about the connect calls is you get a bunch of people's perspective and their insights, because maybe you and I, what we do, maybe it's not the best for somebody else, but maybe Brian has something that works good for somebody who's on the call, or maybe somebody on the call has something that would work well for us that we've never tried before. So you get that multiplier effect. It's not just one person coaching you. It's basically everybody on the call is helping coach each other, hold each other accountable, and build those connections and that networking. Networking, when it comes to success, is also huge. If you want to be, and it doesn't matter what it is, if you want to be successful in fitness or being a spouse or in business, entrepreneurship, whatever it may be, having those relationships to help you along that way, that is key towards success. And a lot of the times it takes discipline in order to do that, because you might be super uncomfortable in that situation. You're pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone. That requires discipline in order to do that. For me, I've applied that recently with pushing myself out of comfort zone to just reach out to some people on Instagram that I follow that have huge followings and like, hey, I love what you're doing. Would love for you to be on our show at some point. That's uncomfortable for me. That requires discipline in order to do that.
I really like the connect calls because it just brings other perspectives to the plate that maybe like I wouldn't have thought of otherwise.
Exactly.
Like when we're hitting on a specific topic, like I know how I feel about discipline, but it's like I love to hear how other people use it and take these things into their lives. So
yeah, and what it means to them, because to us it means one thing, to somebody else it might mean something a little bit different, and that's pretty cool to hear and understand as well. And the other great thing about the connect calls is you get ideal swag for attending.
oh yeah,
Which is
yeah. Bookmarks and coffee mugs, man. It doesn't end.
No, yeah, there's Randy made like 7,000 different ideal merchandise items on Printify, so we'll never run out there. We even got bandanas for your dog, so check that out. The next thing, so we have our coaching light package. So let's say that you want something that's a little bit more one-on-one, tailored to you specifically, coaching light. So the ideal person for coaching light is, let's say that you have a goal. You already know what actions you need to take in order to achieve that goal. You have just not been able to maintain that discipline and that consistency with those actions. So I want to lose 30 pounds. I know that in order to do that, I need to eat X amount of calories per day. I need to have one cheat meal per week, and I need to work out, those 3 vigorous workouts that we talk about, but I just can't seem to stay on track for more than a couple weeks at a time. That's where the coaching light comes in. That habit share app that Randy talked about, we set you up on that. We share those habits. We share ours so you can see what we're doing. You share them with us, and we're going to text you every day except for Sundays, and we're going to help you keep getting after after it. We're going to hold you accountable. We're also going to challenge you. So this is one of those times where, hey, this is about perfection. So I want to hit 3 workouts a week, and we're going to set a 30-day goal. So 3 workouts a week for 30 days. That's something that I've never done before. Well, if I slip up, I'm going to donate to a charity of my choice. And whatever that amount is, that's going to be something that's going to make you think about it and keep that in the back of your head, whether it's $50, $100, $500, whatever it is for that client. And the other thing is, but we didn't talk about this. The Connect calls right now, they're extremely affordable. $10 to get you a ticket for an hour to have this group discussion that can possibly change your life. And on top of that, so for $10, you get a free piece of merchandise. The coaching light, which comes with that daily accountability and the use of the Habit Share app, that's $150 a month. So for $150 a month. So if I asked you, hey, for $150 a month with a 3-month commitment, this could build all of the consistency that you've ever needed in your life and absolutely change your trajectory. Would you think about it? Would you think, oh, that's pretty good? So for, let's say, 3 months, that's $450. I can correct the course and finally achieve the goals that I've wanted to achieve. To me, that's a no-brainer. Then let's say that you're not quite as far along. You don't really, you need discipline, but you're not sure exactly where you want to take it. You're not sure exactly what it's going to do for your life. You're not sure what your goals are yet. You're still trying to figure out your why, your purpose. That's where we have that full comprehensive one-on-one coaching package. So you want to share your thoughts and perspective on that, Randy, and then I'll jump in as well.
Well, believe it or not, it's one-on-one. So it's one of us. Yes. And
one of us. All right.
You get one of us. So let's say
and one of them.
And one of them. So let's say Brian doesn't know where to start in his discipline journey. He can sign up for the one-on-one coaching, and he'll get one of us that will be working with him bi-weekly. So this is an hour-long call that you will be doing once every 2 weeks. And through this process,
is that what bi-weekly means?
Yeah, that's what bi-weekly means. Just for those who
think you're correct in saying
I'm going to define it so that people understand that, hey, bi-weekly means 2 times a month.
All right.
1 hour each, paycheck. 1 hour each call. Yeah, it's kind of like paycheck.
Okay.
Anyways, Now that you guys interrupted me, threw me off my train of thought there.
Well, I guess you better leverage that discipline and get back on track.
I am going to. So I'm going to use Brian as the example. Brian doesn't know where to start in his discipline journey. He's going to sign up to get either Kyle or I to be his coach. And we're going to challenge Brian, and we're going to push him outside his comfort zone. And through that process, Brian should grow as an individual and become more disciplined in life, which will translate to the other areas of ideal. Now, each call is going to have, there's going to be like a format for each one. It's going to be per individual. We're going to challenge you to read 6 books. So that's a book a month. We're going to give you homework. So if you don't like homework, because I never liked homework when I was a student, but homework helps you grow. You learn things from it. So we're going to try to push you to find your why, your purpose. Who are you in the future? And these are all aspects of that one-on-one coaching.
Yeah, for sure. And I think one of the most important parts of the full-blown coaching, so you're going to get everything that you get with the coaching light as well. So you're not only the bi-weekly phone calls, but you're going to get the daily accountability text, that daily motivation, inspiration, aspiration, everything that goes into that. We're going to start with your purpose. Like Randy said, why did you come to us? Why do you want to become the most disciplined and consistent version of yourselves? For me, my personal purpose statement and what we've adopted for the company is we want to help inspire and guide people to become the most disciplined versions of themselves in order to build unwavering consistency in their life, which will lead them to success. So why do you do what you do? Why do you want to become the most disciplined version of yourself? So that's one thing, and come up with a purpose statement, just 1 to 2 lines that you're going to read every single day to remind yourself why you're doing this, because this shit is going to be hard. It's not going to be easy. We're going to challenge you. We're going to hold you accountable. Some days it's going to feel uncomfortable. Some days it's going to feel tough. Some days you're going to be like, damn it, Kyle, like leave me alone. But that's not what it's all about. We are trying to build this mindset within you so that eventually you don't need us, that you don't need that daily reminder, that you don't need us holding your hand through this process. But in the beginning, it's completely fine to lean on other people in order to get to that level. Then we're going to talk about that vision that you talked about, Randy, right? We're going to talk about, hey, by becoming the most disciplined and consistent version of myself, what does my life look like in 3 or 5 years? And that is another reminder to keep going. Why am I doing this? Why am I grinding it out day after day and week after week and month after month? Because there are times where it feels like every bone in my body is telling me to give up. That's not what's going to happen. We're going to be there to help you. And along with those challenges, we're going to, again, have that financial contribution to charity. So if I slip up and I don't make this happen, well, I'm going to donate X amount of dollars in charity in order to hold myself accountable as well. And again, eventually you won't need us. You will build that mindset. The other thing too, we want to make sure this is a good fit. And that's what the coaching consult call. If this isn't what you're looking for, if you're not our ideal client, I want you to find who would be a better fit for you. So we're not going to pressure you into everything. On the consult call, there is no obligation. We want you to take time as long as it takes to think about it in order to make sure, because again, when you're being held accountable, if you're not ready for that accountability, it may even it's going to make you super uncomfortable. So you have to be mentally prepared for what the journey that we're about to embark on. But the nice thing is it's not just coming from us. If you have any hesitations, any questions, you're curious on what this can do for you, we have plenty of clients that we're currently working with that are more than willing to talk to you and explain to you what it looks like and what it's done for them. They would be happy to do that for you. So we're super excited to continue focusing on this, continuing refining things, making it better for everybody, and continuing to grow this. And really what it comes down to, what got us started, was we're looking across society and the lack of discipline and the support for mediocrity and average. And life has just become progressively easier. It's complicated, but from an actual understanding, like, I don't really have to worry about food. I don't really have to worry about water. I don't really have to worry about shelter. I don't really even have to leave the house in order to get any of those things at this point anymore. So it's important to not accept that comfort, not accept that mediocrity, not accept that average in your life, and continuing to push forward and towards your own definition of greatness. And that is exactly what we're here to do to help. For me, I was sitting in a freaking corporate job that I hated for 11 years. That was not my definition of greatness. I needed to get out of my comfort zone in order to experience that. My definition of greatness is freedom, fun, and family. I want to have freedom in my life in order to have fun, enjoy it, be happy, and spend my time with my family and my really close friends who I also consider my family. That's what it's all about. But in order for me to get there, I need to be consistent. I need to be unwaveringly disciplined in order to achieve that level of greatness.
It's a good definition of greatness. I like that.
Different for everybody, my friend. So yeah, so that's everything that we have to offer as of right now. There is going to be more to come in the future. There's going to be camps. There are going to be, again, eventually Ideal Academy. We're excited about what the future holds, but in order to get to there, we need to focus on that one step at a time, that one action day in and day out that's going to get us to that level of success. So
what's the time commitment for the one-on-one coaching? How long does how long does it last?
Yeah, so for the one-on-one, the coaching light, so that's the accountability text message, the use of the Habit Share app, that's going to be at least a 3-month commitment, because we want to make sure if anybody, again, the motivated guy can do something for a week. And typically, if you're motivated, you could probably push through for a month. But after that month, who do you become? Are you going to stay consistent? Are you going to maintain that discipline mindset? So we want to do that for at least 3 months with everybody that we work with. And then when it comes to the full coaching package, that one-on-one, and again, the coaching light, that's $150 a month. The full-blown coaching package is $600 a month. That is intentional. I was doing this for free with a lot of people, and luckily the people that I were working with for free took it seriously. But a lot of times when there is not an financial impact to something, it's really easy to just blow it off and to not keep going. So that's why this has value to it. By creating discipline and consistency in your life and success and greatness in your life, there is value behind that. In order to take it seriously, again, that's why we charge what we do for it. So back to your question with the full coaching package. So that is a 6-month commitment, because again, this is our ideal candidate for this is somebody who is just getting started in this journey. They know that they're lacking discipline. They know that they're inconsistent in their life, and they really need that deep rooted purpose, finding their why, everything that goes into it, and completely resetting their mindset. And that's what we're doing in that full coaching package. We are resetting your mindset to become the most disciplined version of yourself, no matter what happens. So that is a 6-month period, and we can continue it after that 6 months on a month-by-month basis. But in order for the process to work, it takes time. This is no flip a switch and you're all of a sudden going to be the most consistent version of yourself. It's going to take time. There's going to be slip-ups. There's going to be mistakes. There's going to be setbacks, but it's all about getting back on track and staying consistent.
Now, I like to look at this as like a crawl, walk, run. Like you're not going to come in the first call and we're going to be like, oh, you're running a marathon next week. Discipline.
Congratulations. You just went from a couch potato to David Goggins. Congratulations.
Boom. Discipline. Get it.
Shit, if we could get people, if we could figure out how to do that, we would be very wealthy.
Right. So, I mean, it's a process. Like you said, it's a journey. It is a journey. It's a 6-month long journey where you're going to be challenged and you're going to be growing as an individual, and it's going to start off slow and then it'll come more intense as we progress through.
Dude, and the best part about this is yes, our time, we value our time. Our time is worth money. And again, that's part of the reason why we charge for what we're doing, but it is so much more than that. What fires me up, my favorite days are when I get that text message from somebody, or somebody makes a Facebook post about what we're doing and the progress that we're making and how grateful they are for everything that we're doing. That's what it's all about. The whole reason we set up about that, we knew that we weren't going to make a lot of money, especially to start. We don't care. This is what we're passionate about. This is what fires us up. This is our why. This is our purpose. Those are the days that are just the best for me. It's not payday. It's not when that check comes. It's when people are just consistently getting after it and they're finally seeing the results that they've wanted, that they were unable to achieve previously on their own. That's what it is all about for us. It's incredible. And it all started because we wanted to have an impact on the world. Well, we're having an impact on the world by helping people get out of their own way and become disciplined and consistent. And that's what it's all about.
I mean, the beautiful thing about this is, like we said from the get-go, that discipline is the backbone of the ideal skills. But there's no way that you're going to go on this journey and not involve the other skills in ideal. Like, You're going to have to be intentional. Emotional intelligence is going to be huge in this, because there's going to be times where you're going to have to check those emotions.
Yeah. There's going to be a lot of days where you're like, oh, I'm not feeling it today. Well, guess what? It doesn't matter. Get after it anyway. Stop feeling sorry for yourself. Go fucking work out. Go read your book. Go do whatever you have to do, and you're going to feel much better once you're done.
Right. And then accountability comes into
play. What
about
accountability and loyalty? Yeah.
Loyalty comes into play because you're going to have more than one thing going on in your life. Like, it would be cool if this was the only thing that you had to do, but that's not reality. So you're going to have to learn how to balance all that.
Yeah. And with accountability, again, eventually our goal is to not be here for you forever, because eventually you're going to be taking ownership of your own life. You're going to hold yourself accountable, and you're not going to need this. Now, are there times where things might slip up and you might need to reach out to somebody for some external accountability? Yes, that's completely fine. But the point is to build this intrinsically so you don't have to rely on that all the time. And the further you go in this process, the easier it becomes. But then you find something else that maybe you do. You're like, oh man, this is something I've never done before, and I realize that I keep slipping up on it. We'll go right back to it. Maybe it's not us. Maybe it's somebody in your life that you just need to hold you accountable. But here's the problem. Is what I've found is most people that you're super close with, they're not going to do the things that we do. They're not going to challenge you. They're not going to be super direct because they're too worried about your feelings. Well, while we do care about your feelings, we are still going to tell you what you need to hear, and we're going to challenge you in the way that you need to be challenged in order to get out of that mindset, get out of your comfort zone, and just keep getting after it. So again, don't think this is going to be some easy journey. It is not. But that's
Not
why
easy.
and that's why it's hard to do it alone, especially when you're first getting started.
It's simple. Simple concept, simple in theory, but it is not easy.
Yes, sir.
Like imagine, like just think of like about dieting. It's simple. I'm gonna eat healthy.
So simple.
I'm gonna eat healthy. Yeah. It's so simple. But why is it so hard?
Yeah.
Temptation.
It's
Lack
of discipline.
Yeah. It's super hard.
Discipline. It's like, oh shit, this ice cream sandwich, that tastes delicious.
Yeah.
However, this broccoli and plain white rice and grilled chicken, not as delicious. But just like anything else, here's the thing when it comes to nutrition, because I think this is a good one, because that's a lot of people will get started with working out and they'll get in this pattern because with working out, you get endorphins, you feel great afterwards. You're like, oh my, you're sweaty, you get this instant gratification. You might not have the results that you want. That comes with consistency, but with that individual workout, there is some instant gratification. There's not always instant gratification when it comes to nutrition. You're not always super stoked after you ate a bowl of chicken and rice. But here's the thing is I eat almost the exact same thing every day except for Sundays. And other than dinner, Callie cooks dinner and she always makes healthy dinner, but it does vary. But I eat the same breakfast. I have the same amount of coffee. I drink the same creamer. I have the same lunch. I have the same snack before bed every day except for Sundays. And I love it. I enjoy it. I know exactly, for me, like having that structure to my day and knowing exactly when I'm going to cook and what I'm going to eat, it frees my mind up for other much more important things in my life. And I don't have to count calories. I don't have to figure out my macros because I just eat pretty much the same thing. I'll change up the spices. I'll change up the low calorie sauce that I put on my food or whatever it may be in order to keep it interesting. But by being that disciplined and that structured, it frees my mind to focus on other things. It's the same thing when you're in the military and it's like, you don't have to think about what you're wearing the next day. You're wearing your fucking uniform. So your mind is free to think about other things and put that brain power to use in other places. And you can apply that to nutrition and working out and the way you structure your day. And that comes down to that quote that I kind of started at, where discipline, is freedom and freedom is discipline. They go hand in hand. There is not one without the other. Why don't we do this? Why don't we wrap up with some advice for the listeners as far as maybe some things that they can do to help out with some discipline, some simple actions, some simple advice that they can take in their life to start on this path of becoming the most disciplined and consistent version of themselves. So who wants to take it first?
Word. I'll go first. Pick one thing. Do not try to do a complete overhaul of your entire life all at once. One thing, just one thing that you want to create a habit with. And then once you have that down, then you can add another thing. So like there's a lot of people that overwhelm themselves because they're going to try to just change everything all at once. And that's going to be super difficult, especially when you haven't had a whole lot of discipline in your life.
Love it.
I can attest to that. Randy and I have had that conversation, so trying to do more than one thing sometimes looks and feels like you're setting yourself up for failure. So take that out of the equation, focus on that one thing and grow.
Yeah, I've done 75 hard before, and it's more than one thing. So if you're going from zero discipline to I'm gonna go try 75 hard, it's gonna be extremely hard. So I would just choose one thing, and it could be something simple. Like if you just want to get up earlier, all right, well let's for a month let's try to wake up at 5 a.m. every day. That's one thing that you have to worry about. That's it.
I would say that obviously I got off the call there for a minute. I have some personal things going on in life. And for me, discipline was telling the guys, hey, I got a break for a minute. There are going to be times where you're intentionally challenging yourself on something that you want to grow with. But life happens. And there are things within life that are out of your control. Sometimes you have to take a very short break. In this case, 20 minutes or whatever it was. I needed to separate myself from the podcast and the business in which I love dearly to focus on something that was even more important at the time for me to be able to continue doing this. So I would tell you that in the event that you're working towards a success, you challenge yourself, but you hit that minor road bump, that doesn't mean everything needs to come to an end. Take a step back, collect your thoughts, handle the necessary piece that you're dealing with, and then get back to it. Don't let that one little road bump stop all the other success to follow.
Yeah.
That'd be my advice.
Solid
100%.
advice.
Great advice from both of you. So mine is, when you feel yourself not wanting to do something, you're in the middle of that workout, or you're getting ready for the gym, or you're about to get on that meeting and maybe you're thinking about canceling it, or you're on the fence about reaching out to somebody and trying to get them on your podcast or something along those lines. Think to yourself long term. Think about the future. Will by taking this action and being consistent and doing it even though I don't want to, will my future self reap the rewards and reap the benefits of that? If the answer is yes, then do it anyway. Just get out of your own head, get out of your own way, and do it anyway. So think long-term success over instant gratification. That's my advice to you. And again, it's easier said than done, but the more you practice it, the more you do it, the easier it is to apply it across anything in your life. And I think so that one thing, for like Randy suggested, that's also great. And don't be afraid, like you said, Randy, to start small. Just start small. Maybe it's 15 minutes getting up. Maybe it's reading 5 pages a day. Maybe it's drinking 8 ounces more water, whatever it be, and whatever it is. And then because a lot of us, we set these goals so big in the beginning and we don't believe that we can achieve it. Well, you believe by doing. So if you set a small goal, a small action that you're going to take regularly, and you achieve it and you're consistent with it, then you believe. You're like, well, I can do that. Why can't I do the next thing and the next thing and the next thing? And it starts this snowball effect towards success in your life. That's what starting small, like Randy said, can do for you. It's amazing.
Oh yeah, it's got to be realistic. I mean, I can't. If I'm running a 9-minute mile, I'm not going to say in 3 weeks I'm going to be running a 6:30 mile. That's not realistic. You got to keep these things realistic. Like small wins. You get a small win, it'll lead to a big win.
Yeah, on my run yesterday, I set out I was going to run. I progressively, each half mile was faster, and then the last half mile, I'm going to run a 6-minute mile pace for the last half mile. And
so 3 minutes for those of you that aren't good at math.
Yeah. So 3 minutes for the half mile. I ran it at like a 6:39 pace, and I was just freaking gassed. But so yes, I fell short on that goal, but I went 100% all out. That's what matters. If I set my goal as 6:40, then I probably would have coasted a little bit, but I set it at 6 minutes and I did everything within my power to hit that six. My legs were literally flailing by the end. My lungs were on fire. I thought I was going to throw up there, which I'm shocked I didn't, but that's what emptying the tank were. And I wasn't upset that I didn't hit the 6 minutes. Wasn't upset about it because I went all out. And that is the only thing that we can do, is go all out and put 100% into that action that we're taking in that moment. That's what you need to do. That's what discipline will get you.
That is a perfect example of how emotional intelligence comes into play with discipline.
Yes, sir.
You could have either called yourself a failure for not meeting that goal or do what you did.
Yeah. And I had a great Sunday because I felt great afterwards. I'm like, geez, I left it all out there on the road with that 6 minutes and 39 seconds or whatever it was, or half mile, whatever half of that comes out to be. So,
awesome. You have to be okay with that. You got to be okay with that.
Yeah. Got to be okay with it. And that's why it's so, again, we've talked about this before too, but focus on the journey. It's all about the journey. Maybe next time I'll get that 6 minutes and I'll be super, super appreciative. And then I'll push it even further. I'll go to 5:45 and 5:30 and I'll just keep moving the needle. But as long as I go all out, that's all that matters. It feels great. And I had a great day yesterday because of that. And again, we talked about this previously. I would have been like, well, you failed. And my day would have been shitty because I would have stuck that in my mind the entire rest of the day. So, all right, guys. Well, this was a great episode. It's one of our favorite topics. Again, it is completely what our coaching framework is centered around at this point, and super excited for the future to keep going. So thanks, gentlemen. It was awesome recording in the morning on a Monday rather than at 8:00 at night or whatever we normally do.
Woo, summer. Heck yeah.
Woo. Yeah, it's awesome for Randy to be off of school.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. We'll catch you next time.
Bye.
Hey everybody, if you liked what you heard today, please check us out on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. And don't forget to head to Eventbrite and grab one of the 10 tickets available for our monthly Ideal Connect call. Then when you're ready to take the next step, message us on any of our social media pages to book a free coaching consultation call to see how we can help you start living your own ideal life. Thanks again for all of your love and support, and always remember, you have everything you need to achieve success. It's just a matter of believing.